It was one of the coldest nights of the year, the kind that cuts straight through your clothes and chills you to the bone. The streets were nearly empty, everyone rushing home to warmth and comfort, everyone except for one little girl. Shivering under a thin, torn blanket, she sat curled up on the sidewalk near a closed diner, her tiny hands wrapped around an empty paper cup. No one seemed to notice her. No one stopped. Until he did. A sleek black car rolled to a stop just a few feet away. Out stepped a man dressed in an expensive suit, his shoes spotless despite the slushy sidewalk. He was the kind of person you wouldn't expect to slow down for anyone, especially not a homeless child. But something about her caught his eye. Maybe it was the way she tried to hide her fear behind her silence. Or maybe it was the way she refused to beg, even though it was clear she hadn't eaten in days. Without a word, the billionaire approached her. She flinched as he got closer, unsure of his intentions. But instead of walking past like everyone else, he knelt down and asked if she was okay. What happened next, no one could have predicted, not even him. What started as a simple act of kindness quickly unraveled into something far more complicated. The girl wasn't just hungry. She was hiding something that would shake the billionaire to his core. As the truth slowly began to reveal itself, the man who thought he had everything realized he knew nothing about the world she came from, or the life-changing decision he was about to face. Stay tuned, because what's coming next will leave you speechless. The billionaire hesitated for a moment, not sure what to do next. He wasn't used to situations like this. In his world, problems were solved with money, meetings, and signed deals, not by picking up freezing children off the streets. But something about this little girl's eyes, so quiet, yet so full of pain, kept him from walking away. He took off his coat and gently wrapped it around her small shoulders. She didn't say thank you. She didn't say anything. Just stared at him, like she didn't know if she should trust him or run. He led her to his car, offering her food and warmth. The girl hesitated, glancing around like she was expecting someone to stop her. Or worse, find her. But after a long pause, she got in, silent as ever. As they drove through the city, he asked her simple questions: her name, where her parents were, how long she'd been out there. She stayed quiet at first, then mumbled her name, Emma. That was all she would give. They pulled up to his penthouse building, a place of glass, steel, and luxury. The doorman looked surprised, but said nothing. Inside, the warmth was overwhelming. Emma's eyes darted around, not in awe, but with caution. Like she'd been in fancy places before, but under very different circumstances. He served her a warm meal, and for a moment, she ate like she hadn't in days. But even as she ate, she kept glancing at the door, flinching at every distant sound. The billionaire watched her, a strange feeling growing in his chest. He thought he was just helping a hungry child, but now he was starting to realize Emma wasn't just homeless. She was running from something, and whatever it was, it might be closer than he thought. The billionaire, Daniel, sat across from Emma as she picked at the last bit of food on her plate. She hadn't spoken much, and when she did, her voice was barely above a whisper. There was something in the way she avoided eye contact, like she was always bracing for something bad to happen. He could tell she didn't trust him yet, but she wasn't afraid of him specifically. She was afraid of something or someone else. He offered her a spare bedroom for the night, and she accepted with a hesitant nod. As he watched her disappear down the hallway, Daniel pulled out his phone, wondering if he should call someone. The police? Child services? But something didn't feel right. Emma wasn't just another kid in need. There was a deeper story behind her silence, and he wasn't sure who he could trust with it. That unease was growing. Later that night, Daniel heard soft footsteps. He walked toward the hallway and found Emma standing near the large windows, staring down at the city. Her arms were wrapped tightly around herself, and her eyes were red, though she hadn't been crying in front of him. He gently asked again about her parents. She hesitated, then said one word, "Gone." When he asked if someone was looking for her, she froze. Her eyes darted toward the door again, and she whispered, "He'll find me." Daniel's heart sank. This wasn't just about food and shelter. Emma was hiding from someone dangerous. But who? A stranger? A relative? Someone she had escaped? His mind raced with possibilities, and none of them felt safe. Down in the street, a black van slowly cruised past the building. Emma didn't see it, but Daniel did. And in that moment he knew this wasn't over, it was just beginning. The next morning, Daniel barely slept. His thoughts were stuck on Emma's face, her fear, and that quiet warning. Asterisk, he'll find me, asterisk. He kept glancing at the security monitors in his home, watching the lobby, the street, even the elevator. That same black van was parked across the street again. Different driver, same tension in the air. Something was off, and his instincts, sharpened from years of business deals and high-stakes decisions, was screaming at him. Emma stayed quiet through breakfast, her eyes still wary. She barely touched the pancakes he made. When Daniel mentioned maybe going to the police, her fork dropped with a sharp clink. "No. Please. You don't understand," she said, her voice trembling for the first time. "If I talk, it gets worse." Her words sent a chill down his spine. Daniel decided to dig deeper. While Emma rested, he made a few quiet calls, using his contacts in private security. An hour later, someone called back with something disturbing. A photo. It showed Emma standing next to a man in a luxury car outside of a mansion miles away. The man had a familiar face. He was a well-known real estate investor, someone Daniel had met at charity events. But the look in the photo wasn't friendly. Emma wasn't smiling. She looked like she was trying not to cry. Daniel stared at the image, anger rising in his chest. This wasn't just a random runaway. She had come from that asterisk world, a world Daniel thought he understood, until now. Suddenly, his money, his influence, all of it felt useless. Because if Emma was right, and if this man really was the one she was running from, then they weren't dealing with some stranger in the shadows. They were up against someone powerful, and he might already know where she is. Daniel paced the room, gripping his phone, trying to figure out his next move. Everything about this situation was more tangled than he expected. He thought helping a homeless girl would mean giving her a meal, a warm place to sleep. But now he was in the middle of something darker, deeper, and it was getting worse by the hour. Just as he was about to call one of his lawyers for advice, he heard a noise from the hallway. Emma was standing there, holding something in her hands. A small, worn photo. She handed it to him without saying a word. In it, she was younger, maybe 5, and smiling beside a woman with soft eyes and dark hair. "That's my mom," she said, her voice cracking. "He said she died, but I remember she didn't." Daniel looked closer. The photo had a stamp on the back, an address. It wasn't far. As he turned it over again, his phone buzzed. A message from his security contact. Asterisk, the man in the photo. He filed a missing child report 6 months ago. Says the girl was kidnapped. He has legal custody, asterisk. Daniel's blood ran cold. If what he was reading was true, then legally, Emma asterisk did asterisk belong to that man. But why would a child run away from someone claiming to be her father? And why would she be so terrified? Before he could think further, the building's front desk called. A man was in the lobby, demanding to see Emma. He had legal papers in hand. Emma's face went pale. "It's him," she whispered. Daniel's heart pounded. He realized then, this wasn't just about keeping her safe. It was about finding the truth, because either Emma was in danger, or Daniel had just helped a child escape from the one person legally sworn to protect her. Daniel stood frozen, staring at the lobby feed on his screen. The man in the suit held a folder of legal documents, his expression calm but calculated. To anyone else, he looked like a concerned guardian, but Emma's reaction told another story. She backed away, her whole body shaking. "Please," he begged, "don't let him take me. He's lying." Daniel knew what he had to do. He took Emma's hand and guided her to his office, locking the door behind them. Then he made a call, not to his lawyer, but to a journalist friend who owed him a favor. Within minutes, Daniel had someone on the way, armed with a camera and questions no one else had dared to ask. Downstairs, the man grew impatient, flashing his custody papers at the building staff. But when he demanded access to Daniel's apartment, security stalled him just long enough for the reporter to arrive. The confrontation was caught on video, the polished businessman dodging questions about Emma, stammering when asked about the woman in the old photo. The journalist pressed harder, bringing up past accusations that had quietly disappeared from public record. The video went live within the hour. That changed everything. Authorities stepped in. A full investigation opened. Emma was placed under protective care while the claims were reviewed. Daniel stayed involved, hiring a private investigator to track down the woman in the photo, Emma's mother. Weeks later, she was found, alive, hidden away after a bitter custody battle had gone wrong. Just when Daniel thought it was over, he got a letter. No return address, just a note inside. *, you're lucky. This time, she ran to the right person. *. Daniel looked out over the city, the weight of the story settling in. He hadn't just saved Emma. She'd saved him too. The weeks that followed were quiet, but for the first time in a long while, they felt peaceful. Emma had been reunited with her mother, and though there were still challenges ahead, they were finally facing them together, on their own terms, without fear. The investigation confirmed everything Emma had said. The man who once claimed custody was exposed for manipulating the system, using his influence to silence the truth. But with the media attention and Daniel's help, his control finally broke apart. Daniel stayed in touch, visiting Emma and her mom often. He helped them settle into a small but safe home outside the city. No bodyguards, no high security, just warmth, space, and a fresh start. Emma began smiling more, laughing even. Her drawings covered the fridge. She had gone from a freezing sidewalk to a life where she could sleep without checking over her shoulder. Daniel, too, had changed. He returned to his world of suits and meetings, but his priorities had shifted. The experience had cracked something open inside him. He started a foundation, quietly, focused on helping homeless children and families escaping unsafe situations. Not a PR stunt, just something real. Looking back, it all started with a simple choice: to stop, to notice. One small act of kindness that spiraled into something he never could have imagined. He didn't see himself as a hero. He just saw a scared little girl who needed help, and this time he chose to listen. Sometimes the people we rescue end up rescuing us right back, and in a city full of noise, power, and distraction, it's the quietest stories, the ones that almost go unheard, that end up mattering the most. Because helping someone isn't always about saving them. Sometimes it's just about *, showing up *.